Last season, I broke out as a superstar, reaching the Copa America final and winning the FA Cup with Leicester City. And now I have to decide what comes next. Should I leave Leicester City so soon, or stay and become a legend here? Well, as much as I've enjoyed my time here in England, it's time to take a step up. The World Cup is this summer, and I cannot risk losing my starting spot. I'm gonna take my chances with a new team, but so far, all of the interest is from England, and I can't do that to Leicester City. Is there anyone else who's interested in me? Well, Pep Guardiola has just been announced as the new manager at PSG, who are still in search of their first Champions League win. Now, PSG have a monstrous squad with some of the best players in the world, but even with all that talent, Guardiola has been a fan of mine since his time in England and wants me in his team. And when I get the offer to join, I'd be a fool to turn that down. I'm gonna move to France and play for PSG. This is an opportunity for me to be with the best coach at one of the best teams in the world and prove myself once and for all at the highest level. And it's clear right away in training, this is gonna be a different season for me. Guardiola is gonna stick with his usual possession style, but in his 4-3-3 system, there's a twist. He wants me to be the deep-lying playmaker. Now, I've always been an attacking mid with an eye for goal, and now I'm being asked to sit significantly deeper. I'm not gonna have the same license to get forward and attack like I've done in the past. Guardiola's asking me to be a more disciplined player in a support role, which is not something I'm familiar with. So now I have to adapt to a new role in a top team. But do I have what it takes to cut it this season? Well, the expectations here are extremely high, not just for me, but for PSG in general. Playing under Guardiola means anything less than perfection is going to be heavily criticized. However, it looks like it's going to take us a little bit of time to get used to this system. Even though we have world-class players, playing the kind of possession football that's expected of us doesn't come naturally for everybody. But when we're trying to build chemistry, one thing is clear: I am tailor-made for this kind of system. My long passing ability is easily able to break lines and create chances. However, I'm not the one in the final third, and as we're missing opportunities here in our first game, it's a disappointing first showing and a boring, scoreless draw. This is not what everyone envisioned when Guardiola came in, and we have a lot of work to do to improve. But with the caliber of players we have at this club, surely it's only a matter of time before things start to click. We have some of the best players around, and they're more than capable of finding results in this system. However, as I watch on from deep, we're still struggling to convert chances, but they are becoming more and more frequent. We're dominating possession, and I'm doing a good job being a tidy player in midfield for us. And eventually, the front line gets the job done. Once we start scoring, it's more than a comfortable win. I don't feel like I've done a whole lot, but there's no doubting the team is coming alive. We're looking good. I'm looking to be a nailed-on starter in one of the world's top clubs, and that awkward first game is fading away now as PSG is quickly adapting to Guardiola and rampaging through our opening games. We're clear favorites to win the league. But the only downside is I've had a pretty quiet start personally. I am starting, but I'm far from our best player, and I'm watching on as the rest of my teammates are the ones gathering the attention. It's been a bit of a weird season for me. I've had no goal contributions so far, which is usually my bread and butter. Assists and goals are what I've done my whole career, and I can't help but feel like that's being a bit wasted in this system. Can I find a way to contribute even more? But I'm gonna get some time to think. It's the international break, and I'm joining up with the US team and my best friend Jalen Davis to play in a team that really fit me last summer. I had one of the best showings of my career in last year's Copa America, and these friendlies are no different. I'm allowed to play a more free role up top, and especially linking up with Jalen, the goal contributions are always gonna be there. This kind of license to get forward is also what I had at Leicester City last season, and I'm absolutely thriving still with the national team. Scoring an incredible goal on top of an assist, it's a reminder of what I can do when I'm allowed to play in these positions. And with the World Cup this season, I've got to find a way to bring this kind of form to PSG and stay fit so I can play well in the summer. But what's that gonna take? Well, as I come back to PSG, the Champions League is kicking off, and now I have the chance to help guide us to our first ever victory in this competition. And this is a massive moment for me. I've never played a Champions League game before, and coming fresh off the back of my success with the national team in those friendlies, I'm determined to make a big impact here. Now, I still am playing a deeper role, and I'm playing it well. I'm moving the ball around. My passing has never been in question, but feeling so isolated back here is just a world of difference from what I was experiencing only a few days ago. However, the team doesn't exactly need me. We're still scoring goals for fun, and I watch on from deep as we pick up our first win in the Champions League. I mean, it's clear for everyone to see we have some of the best attacking talents in the entire world, and it's a little selfish of me to even think that I could offer something they couldn't. However, I'm still just feeling unsettled. 8 games without a single goal contribution just feels really rough to me. It feels like I'm not able to contribute with some of my best attributes. Finishing and passing in the final third, I'm not really given the license to do. So with the world watching and a huge game coming up against Bayern Munich, I've made up my mind. I need to show that I can still do those things here. I know that all the eyes are going to be on this game. If there was ever a time for me to step up to the challenge and make a really big impression, this has got to be it. And so far, so good. I'm playing some really good passes out from the back, and PSG, as expected, are looking sharp and playing the system we've been refining this season. But Bayern Munich are easily the best team we've come up against so far. And for the first time this season, they're not going to be easy opponents for us to walk past, as they actually open the scoring. We're finding ourselves surprisingly on the back foot, and now PSG needs a hero to save the day. Now, I know that I'm supposed to stay deep, but that doesn't mean I can't venture forward sometimes. My long shots have saved games in the past, but this time it doesn't hit the target, and it's not well received in a team that likes to keep possession. But getting that little taste of freedom is all I need to give me the motivation to continue getting forwards as I make another run upfield. Can I be the difference maker in a game this big? Well, I'm doing everything I can as I sprint up the field and look to make a pass in the final third. It's clean through for our striker, but it doesn't come off. And unfortunately now, Bayern Munich are on a quick counterattack, and I'm stuck way up the field. It looks like this is going to be a game of fine margins, and Bayern Munich find a second goal. Unfortunately for me, that was largely my fault. I should have been there to prevent the counter, but instead it was my selfish decision to sprint up the field that left us exposed. I'm immediately substituted off by Guardiola. He's extremely unhappy with that performance, and I know I messed up big time. PSG just lost our first game of the season, and it was my fault. I'm swiftly put on the bench ahead of our next game. I might have just blown my chance with one of the biggest teams in the world. If there was ever a time to follow the system, it's gotta be under Guardiola. I've made a big mistake. And the sad reality is, although I was doing a solid job in midfield, the team is not really missing me as we continue winning games in my absence, and this could have big implications for the rest of my season. If the team is winning without me, I don't see a way I get back into the starting 11. And if I lose that spot, my chances at making the World Cup this summer are actually starting to slip away. Now, Guardiola is doing like he's done at every team he's managed before and building a really strong system where it doesn't exactly matter which player is on the pitch as long as the collective is doing their job. And as the season ticks on, PSG are looking more and more threatening with every passing game. It's clear to see the philosophy on display here, and in our second group stage game against Bayern Munich, it's clear we've grown into the better team. We're running the show against one of the best teams in the world, and even without me in the team, PSG are having no trouble making our way to the knockout stages. PSG comfortably top our Champions League group and take a commanding lead here in the league. And with PSG boasting some of the best talents in the entire world right now, I might be a forgotten figure, having been benched and not played in weeks at this point. Did I blow everything with a moment of immaturity this season, or is it salvageable? I feel terrible, and I know what the problem is. In recent seasons, I became a star, and as I got attention, my ego and my confidence grew so much. I grew a lot technically, but not mentally. And this is a lesson I learned earlier in my career, all the way back at Loudoun United, to play for the team, not just for myself. But it seems like I've forgotten that. With all the limelight here at the top of the world, I'm realizing this is gonna be my next test. I have to learn to be mature and rediscover what it means to play for the team truly, not just for myself. I feel I've learned my lesson and it's time to put myself aside. But in order to get back into the team and show that I've learned, I'm gonna need a second chance. And to do that, it's time to have a talk with the manager. So I go straight to Pep and I tell him the truth, that I'm embarrassed I let my selfishness get in the way of the team, and that I'm sorry. If he gives me a second chance, it won't happen again. And he's honest that I've lost my spot in the team, but I will be given chances this season, and now it's gonna be up to me to show him that I've changed and win my spot back. The question now is, can I actually do it? Well, I won't have to wait long for my opportunity because the French Cup is here, and as promised, I'm given a spot in the rotated squad. And I have to turn it all around here because leaving this cup early could mean that's it for my minutes in the team this season. I know that I've learned my lesson, but now I have to actually show it on the pitch, do everything that the coach has asked of me, put my ego aside, and play this deep-lying playmaker role to the best of my abilities. I'm doing the things I usually don't, working hard defensively and staying very patient here deep in possession. And so far, so good. I'm spraying the ball around the pitch incredibly well and getting involved in the build-up play. It's never been an issue of technique for me, but rather the mental side of the game and the discipline to stay where I need to be. And as PSG opens the scoring, it's so far so good for me and playing in this team, and Pep Guardiola is looking happy. Now, I had some decent performances earlier in the season, but I never fully embedded myself in the position. And now that I've got the maturity to really do that and be content here deep in midfield, Guardiola is finally getting out of me what he wanted with this role. A player who can break lines and support our front players. I just put on my best performance here in a PSG jersey, and surely Pep Guardiola has to be happy with that. Well, he makes it clear in the post-game press conference that I'm still seen as an important player for this club. I just need to be more consistent. But I'm not worried about that. Now that I've sorted my mindset out, my performances have taken a huge step up. Honestly, it's a masterclass out there. I outpass everyone on the pitch and finally pick up an assist. Now, I've learned that goals and assists might not be the be-all, end-all, but it still feels good to have a direct contribution to this team. Now, I've done well in the cup, but with PSG sitting top of the league, have my performances been good enough to earn a spot back in this squad? Well, it seems like Guardiola likes what he's seen so far. I'm back in the starting 11 for our league games, which surely means I'm back in the true first team here. Now, I just have to make sure I don't slip up, keep playing the way that I've been, and just stay disciplined overall. He signed me for a reason, and I just have to stick to that philosophy. And just like we saw last game, sitting deep doesn't mean I can never contribute to the team. And as we win a penalty kick, I think it's time to show my set-piece abilities here in this PSG squad. But with all the eyes on me, can I finish? Yes, it's my first goal here in France, and it's a sign that I can still be an influential player, even when I might not have the same role as I did in the past. But here is where things get serious. It's the Champions League round of 16, and our ultimate goal right now is to win the competition. Now, we are clear favorites over these two legs, but we can't take anything for granted. This tournament has been the elusive trophy for PSG, who still have yet to win it all, and with Pep Guardiola here, that is expected to change. So we go in with an absolutely ruthless mindset and dominate over these two legs, and I play particularly well, which might be expected in a game where we have the majority of possession, but I think it's making up for that mistake of a game against Bayern earlier in the season as we progress on to the next round. Well, it's been a season of growing and maturing for me, but it's paid off, and now I'm playing the role that I was brought into this team to do. And with a pretty comfortable lead up at the top of the league, our real test is going to come in the Champions League, where we take on Barcelona, and it's going to be the return of a familiar face for me. Barcelona have been revitalized by their new manager, Marcel Hoffmann, one of the best up-and-coming coaches in the world. Now, he was my manager at both Austin FC and at Schalke, and he was the only one who believed in me earlier in my career. And now I'm going to have to go through Hoffmann to get to the final. This is going to be a really difficult game emotionally for me, but I have to do my best here. Now, Hoffmann has a style that's incredibly similar to the way Guardiola likes to set up, and I know that from my time at Schalke. So we might be seeing a lot of good quality chances created from both teams in this game, and so far, Barcelona have been on the front foot, coming dangerously close to scoring. This might be our biggest challenge all season long, but thankfully, Guardiola's been building an excellent team here at PSG, and I'm a big part of that. However, I've largely been lost in this game so far, as Barcelona have probably been the better team. Hoffman, a lot like me, had a slow start to his career, but it's clear he's become one of the best coaches in the world, and he set Barcelona up perfectly to expose our defensive weaknesses. But thankfully, we haven't conceded, and we're very much still in this game. It's been an entertaining tie so far, and slowly but surely, we're starting to get some good bits of possession. But that final ball isn't quite coming off. Again, this is probably the most difficult team we've played all season, and despite all the back and forth from both of these teams, we are having difficulty breaking each other down. It's still scoreless, and it looks to remain that way as our finishing in front of goal leaves a lot to be desired. I don't know if it's the pressure getting to these players, but it's not exactly what we've been seeing all season from us. As we settle for a draw in the first leg, it's going to come down to the second to decide who goes on to the semifinal. Well, it all comes down to this: 90 more minutes between these two teams. But the difference this time is it's an away matchup for us. And with Barcelona playing so well and so confident with the ball, it's honestly got us playing in a way we haven't all season. More defensively and more cautious as they put a ton of pressure on us. Marcel Hoffman has built an impressive possession-based team here at Barcelona, and it's nothing short of a miracle that we've been able to hold on so far. But the fact is, we have, and this might be a game of incredibly fine margins. And although this has been a quieter game in terms of possession for us, I'm still finding good opportunities to get the ball to our front line. But as we also fail to score, it's looking increasingly likely that this game might go the distance and head to a penalty shootout until Barcelona give away a penalty kick right at the end, and I'm the one to step up and take it. This is my biggest moment yet for PSG. Can I convert with all the eyes on me? Yes, it's the goal that separates two fantastic teams here in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. I've had to take down my old manager Marcel Hoffman to book a spot in the semifinal, but it's well worth it as we might fulfill our dream now of winning it all. Well, up next, we're going to have Bayern Munich, and a great chance for me to redeem myself against the team that I made a big mistake against earlier in the season. But it's almost expected that PSG will win the league, and with only a 3-point gap, we have to make every single game count from now until the end of the season. So another game and another familiar face. This time, my rival, Christian Fraser, a player who I embarrassed 2 seasons ago at the Copa America. So while he might be out for revenge against me, I'm here to double down and make sure that PSG don't drop any points in this game. Now, thankfully, we've been in fantastic form recently, and this game is no exception. The league has been fairly easy for us this season, and it looks like nothing can stop us at the moment. But for a player with a significant temper like Christian Fraser, that early lead isn't sitting well, and he continues to get frustrated as he's locked out of the game by our midfield. But PSG are not slowing down. We're absolutely ruthless under the new manager, and with a 3-goal lead going into halftime, it's clear Fraser is reaching his boiling point. And it all becomes too much. As I take the ball off of Fraser, he completely loses his cool, and it's a reckless challenge from behind that leaves me on the floor. Somehow Fraser is staying on the pitch, but I can't say the same. I can feel something bad in my ankle, and I'm gonna have to come off. Hopefully this won't keep me out for too long, but my night is over, and ultimately, in some kind of messed up way, Fraser has gotten his revenge on me. It's just via injury. So as I watch on from the sidelines, we do go on to absolutely destroy the opposition, but all I'm worried about right now is how long I might be out with this injury. Well, unfortunately, it's the worst news I could have received. 3 months out mean I'm gonna miss the end of the season, and it's gonna be a race to try to get fit here for the summer's World Cup. And all the momentum I had going for me comes to an abrupt halt, as I'm gonna have to simply watch from the sidelines as we finish this season. Now thankfully, PSG are a great team who comfortably win the league and the French Cup on top of that. But the big thing is the Champions League. And as we get into the tie against Bayern, it's unfortunately clear that we still have work to do in this competition as they edge us out to get to the final, and all that good work we did this season comes falling apart at the end. Well, winning 2 trophies is not a bad start to life for Guardiola, but the ultimate goal is the Champions League, and until we win that, there's a feeling of disappointment around the club. But for me, there's a whole nother level of disappointment, as it becomes clear I'm not going to be fit to play in this summer's World Cup. And to say I'm devastated is an understatement. This is now the second World Cup that I've missed due to injury. I just can't catch a break, and it means I'm gonna have to support my team and my friend Jalen from a distance. And with this new generation of players, I mean, we genuinely are one of the best national teams around. Jalen Davis opens the scoring for the tournament. The USA are off to a fantastic start, and I'm not forgotten as the team celebrates with t-shirts that show their support for me and remind me I still have a spot in their dressing room. Now the group stage is looking convincing for us, even taking down usual giants Italy to show we truly are one of the front runners here in this summer's tournament. It feels like this team has something to prove after missing out in the Copa America final, and it's working because we're through to the knockout stage now. And with a favorable next game against Qatar, the USA capitalizes on our dominance so far in the tournament, Jalen Davis scoring yet again, and we're going through to the quarterfinals. And crazy enough, the USA has the two frontrunners here for the Golden Boot between Pulisic and Davis. It's expected that we'll go far, but with a game against Spain, can we actually do it against one of the best teams of the tournament? Well, our lack of experience shows clearly through in this game as Spain take us down after such a promising start. Our World Cup is over just like that. And I can't help but feel like if I was there, maybe, just maybe, I could have made the difference for our team. I'm crushed I couldn't make it. And after a lot of expectations and hope this season, my club team and national team failed to capitalize on the biggest tournaments. And now that I'm back from injury, I have a huge point to prove that I can be there and contribute in the biggest games for my teams. I've shown I have the technical ability and the discipline to do it. Now, I just need to be there. And with the Trophy de Champions coming up, I need to be fit to kickstart my next season with PSG and make sure I can turn this all around for our next campaign.